A world engulfed in darkness is being devastated by monstrous creatures. Rats, more akin to wolves in size, and snakes as large as dragons slither through the land. Ferocious birds, as big as airplanes, add to the chaos. However, the true rulers of this world are the legendary evil creatures, leaving humans in a state of endless despair. Fortunately, a stargate has appeared, providing a glimmer of hope for desperate humanity. Those who possess exceptional talent now have the opportunity to enter the Stargate and awaken incredible abilities, becoming the heroes who can fight back against the monsters. Within the City of Dawn, a civilized oasis amidst the wilderness, various communities exist. One such community is the community of heroes. It was in this community that a conflict erupted, escalating into a physical altercation at the front door. With a forceful kick, one young man sent another sprawling to the ground near a fountain, bloodied and in pain. The injured boy, struggling to speak, reminded his opponent of the selfless act his parents had performed a decade ago, risking their lives to save him during a disaster. They had even accepted him as their own child. In the face of this reminder, the boy's opponent, filled with rage, lost control of his thoughts and accused him of attempting to seize their family home, despite his parents' recent disappearance less than a month ago. The injured boy, still on one knee, gazed directly at the two men before him. He conveyed his disbelief that his supposed ally would betray him and attempt to claim his home. He questioned why the other man would take the family property and labeled him as a thief. The opponent, known as Fang Bing, appeared cheerful and unaffected by the rebuke. He calmly responded by stating that the Bei family had resided in the house for over a century, spanning 5 generations. He insinuated that the ownership of all the houses in the area belonged to the 6 awakened Chaldeans. Another man, standing beside Fang Bing, looked at him with importance and mentioned that despite being 18 years old, the injured boy had yet to awaken his abilities. According to the general rules, those who had not awakened by a certain age would forfeit their right to reside in the awakened community. As an adopted child, Fang Bing automatically inherited the right to possess the mansion. He argued that everything was in accordance with the law, dismissing the injured boy's outrage. The injured boy vehemently declared his disbelief, accusing the two men of colluding against him. He pointed out that numerous individuals who had not awakened by the age of 18 continued to live in the community, so why should he be treated differently? He questioned whether this was the reward his parents received for sacrificing themselves for the city. These remarks greatly offended the men, leading them to forcefully remove the injured boy even farther away. Beijing lay collapsed on the ground while the man continued to taunt and laugh. The man with glasses turned to Fang Bing. He smirked and reminded Fang Bing not to forget the promise he had made. Fang Bing responded with a smile and a 2-fingered wave, indicating his acceptance of the agreement. And assured him not to worry, as he would fulfill everything as promised. All of this unfolded behind a fenced enclosure outside a grand mansion. As the man with glasses departed, Fang Bing's expression underwent a dramatic change, reflecting the gravity of the situation. He was visibly pleased to be left alone with Beijing at that moment. As soon as he had the chance, he attempted to stand up, but his opponent swiftly kicked him in the stomach, propelling him further away and inflicting immense pain. The assailant then pinned the exhausted young man to the ground with his foot and addressed him by name, mentioning something he had forgotten to mention earlier. Standing over the young man in a domineering manner, he asked if he knew why, despite being recognized as a prodigy since childhood, he still couldn't awaken his abilities. The reason, he revealed, was because Fang Bing had been gradually poisoning him since he was 10 years old, ingesting the toxin of the gray crystal lizard on a monthly basis. This poison had been deteriorating his body, preventing his powers from awakening. Helpless and pinned to the ground, the young man struggled to comprehend why all of this was happening. The revelation deeply hurt him, not just the physical restraint he was under. However, Fang Bing's smile grew even wider in response. It seemed that the tormentor had asked the very questions Fang Bing wanted to answer. The man claimed that the houses in that district, including the mansion, were built near the Stargate, which was considered the best and safest location in Dawn City. He confidently stated that the mansion was, in fact, his own. He emphasized the advantages of being so close to the gate, such as safety and convenience. The pinned young man grew angrier and questioned if it was true that Fang Bing had planned this entire scheme from the beginning. As Fang attempted to rise slowly, his adversary mocked him, stating that as a mere thief with an Elia rank, his highest aspiration would be to rent an apartment on the outskirts. He further explained that if the young man failed to awaken his abilities and his parents died, Fang Bing would inherit the house as an adopted son. Crawling on the ground, the boy expressed his frustration at his family for harboring such a treacherous person. Surprisingly, Fang Bing seemed flattered by these words and thanked the young man for the compliment. He then leaned in close to his rival's face and mentioned something he had forgotten to mention earlier. The young man's parents had been informed of some news, and as a result, they embarked on an adventure. Despite the immense danger, they did not hesitate to go, driven by a parent's love. Beijing fell to his knees, clutching his head with both hands, and cried out for his parents. Fang Bing, once again, kicked the young man in the stomach, propelling him towards the gate and ordering him to leave. Even outside the gate, the young man could still hear Fang Bing's taunting remarks, suggesting that he would fare well in the slums. The boy, holding his side in pain, got up and walked away with only one thought in his mind, that Fang Bing was the most despicable scoundrel imaginable. However, when he turned around, his eyes filled with hatred and rage, knowing that he would return. At that moment, the villain remained standing at the gate, pulling out an iron bar and making a cryptic gesture. From there, a small green strip of something shot towards Beijing. Fang Bing smirked triumphantly, realizing that there was one more task to be done, even though his defeated opponent was no longer a threat. Guided by the belief that the best scum is dead scum, Fang Bing continued his plans. It was nighttime in the metropolis, and the Stargate loomed over the city like a sun. A battered boy wandered among the houses, in excruciating pain and with diminishing strength to move. The man was covered in a swarm of green bubbles, presumably the poison released by the scoundrel. The young man's condition was deteriorating rapidly, and he realized that his death was imminent. Stumbling and mentally pleading not to die, he eventually collapsed lifeless. At that moment, the clouds thickened and formed a whirlwind, and suddenly a beam of light shot down from the cloud directly towards the lifeless body of Beijing. A bright yellow light enveloped his body, and within seconds, he opened his eyes, completely unharmed. The young man stood up, smiled, and touched something, amazed that the legendary secret technique of reincarnation had actually worked. It appeared that he was no longer the same person who had been there before. He had been reborn as a completely different individual, although his physical appearance remained unchanged. Before our hero's rebirth, there was a battle involving a man in white armor who was fatally pierced by a long sword. The man screamed, questioning why he was being treated in such a manner when he had always treated his killer as if they were his own child. However, the identity of the killer was obscured, with only her shining eyes visible as she begged for her master's forgiveness. It was evident that if he didn't die, she would forever live in his shadow, unable to become the world's strongest war goddess. People standing nearby supported the girl, commenting that the man was an ignorant warrior and that the power of the great demon god surpassed his imagination. The man, glaring with one eye, grasped the blade of his sword and expressed his realization that he had been deceived all along. Pressing the sword into his own body, he stated that the idea of joining forces to kill the demon god and end the Dark Age was merely wishful thinking on his part. He accused the others of forgetting their oath to protect humanity and succumbing to their own greed. The girl, exhausted, listened as the man continued, asserting that instead of seeing him as an ally, people regarded him as a threat, driven by a desire to maintain their power. He questioned their belief that they could easily defeat him, and then he revealed his name, Meng Jinxing. He declared himself the strongest warrior known to mankind, the only SSS-ranked war god. He warned that he would return and become even stronger than before. Creating a magic circle with various elements, the man began to radiate light from all sides, as if he were being incinerated. In an instant, he transformed into a pillar of light and ascended upwards, leaving remnants of himself scattered in the air. Weapons were thrown in every direction, and Meng Jinxing was completely reincarnated within Beijing's body. Now, the young man, looking into the distance, commanded Tiafoam and the others to wait patiently. Since he had survived and been reborn, he vowed to eliminate their sins one by one. The man made an effort to comprehend the situation with his new body. He thoroughly examined it, which even frightened him. He realized that the body was poisoned, specifically by the poison of a gray crystal lizard from the dark world. The poison was of E rank, indicating the work of a low-level thief. The long-term effects of the poisoning had weakened the body to the extent that the internal organs were deteriorating. Observing his fingers, the man was horrified by the extent of the damage. In such a condition, it seemed impossible to awaken or regain his former strength. The man contemplated why his soul had chosen such a useless vessel, reflecting on memories of his adoption, the disappearance of his parents, and the various conspiracies and betrayals he had experienced. He wondered if he had possessed such a strong will before his death. Suddenly, a shimmering soul appeared before him, stating that he would fulfill everything that this body desired before its demise. The man noticed that the previous soul within his body had nearly dissipated entirely, signifying the completion of his reincarnation. He had truly become the master of the body. Despite his weakened state, the man was determined to fulfill his last wish. He acknowledged the difficulty of becoming a hero or returning to his former level of power, but he felt a sense of anger towards his past thoughts. As the former strongest god of war, he had made the impossible possible. With a focus on finding a way to improve his physical strength and defy fate, he contemplated various secret techniques in the law of nirvana, the 6 paths of reincarnation. Recalling his acquisition of legendary secret arts during his battles with monsters in the mysterious lands of the void, he realized that if reincarnation had proven effective, the lost information on the 6 paths should also work. Mastering it would enable him to change his body's capabilities and gain even more power than in his previous life. However, before undergoing the transformation, he needed to enter the Stargate to awaken. As he approached the Stargate, the man embraced this new life for his soul, now bearing the name Beijing. With this name, he was determined to rise to the top and become the world's strongest. Beijing found himself approaching the starry gates of the City of Dawn, located in the southern part of the planet, far from the influence of the heavenly city in the north where he used to reside. He saw this distance as an opportunity to secretly grow stronger. The City of Dawn was the largest city in the south, bustling with awakened individuals like himself who fought day and night in the wilderness to increase their strength and achieve the dream of becoming a god of war. As he approached one of the lodges, the young man expressed his desire to apply for the awakening. The man at the builder's telco looked at him and informed him that he had already attempted twice that month and failed both times. He added that despite his father being the captain of the awakened group and entitled to free attempts, the potential of our hero was not promising enough for awakening. The man glanced elsewhere and whispered that it was a waste of resources. The soul of our hero burned brightly with anger, but he tried to restrain himself and asked to try again. The young man started burning from the inside, causing the man to become frightened and step back, protecting himself with his hands. The captain of the guards, Chibo, an imposing figure, approached from behind and sternly questioned his subordinate about what had transpired. The subordinate mumbled guiltily, and the two engaged in an emotional discussion. Meanwhile, our hero stood aside, observing the situation. The young man mentioned that based on the memories of this body, Chibo had been rescued by Beijing's parents when he was young. Our hero wondered how Chibo would treat the son of his benefactors after the transformation in the Bai family. At that moment, the man reprimanded his subordinate, emphasizing the Bai family's long-standing contributions as an awakened family and questioning if there were any issues with the application. The subordinate bowed his head in guilt. The warden then inquired about the location of the star map of the revival, and the guilty man began to hand it over. Afterward, their attention turned to our hero. The young man appeared somewhat bewildered and surprised. Initially, Chibo looked at him kindly and extended a card, urging him to take part in the awakening. As he passed by, the man placed his hand on the young man's shoulder and whispered a warning that seeking shelter would be better if he failed this time, as staying in the territory of the awakened residents would be dangerous. He ensured that the young man understood everything before ultimately departing, leaving our hero behind, gazing into the distance at the departing man. The young man thought that Chibo was a person who knew how to show gratitude and even smiled at the thought. Our hero then proceeded towards the stairs leading to the Stargate. At the entrance, there was an immense crowd, likely consisting of all the awakened individuals. The young man tossed the card into the air, and it began to enter the gate, dissolving into a golden substance until it disappeared completely. Afterward, our hero entered the Stargate himself, feeling as if he were entering into a haze. Passing through the boundary, the young man found himself in a spacious room beneath a starry sky, surrounded by numerous individuals emanating a golden light. He stood among them like a white crow, but as he examined his body, our hero tried to comprehend the unfolding events. It seemed unbelievable that this body could not withstand the pressure and places of awakening, although it was not surprising considering the years of poisoning. The young man trembled, unaware that achieving awakening would be incredibly challenging. First, the potential test subject needed to resonate with the stars, establish a contract, and then awaken. The more he attracted starlight, the more his body would transform. Those who failed to resonate with the stars would find themselves as ordinary individuals, leading a miserable existence. The protagonist, gazing at the star-filled sky, realized that despite having a star resonating within his body, his condition was too weak. Obtaining a sufficient amount of starlight, forming a contract, and awakening seemed impossible. The young man appeared beaten and weary as he passed through the stargate, anticipating the challenges ahead. Even if he managed to receive the star's light and awaken, he knew the transformation would not be complete. With narrowed eyes and sweat on his forehead, he understood that he would have to take risks and give his all if he wished to return. In that moment, he decided to attempt the legendary secret art of the 6 paths of reincarnation. Igniting a massive amount of spiritual power, summoning the 6 paths wheel, and harnessing the light of countless stars to purify his essence and transform his body. In his previous life, his soul power had been strong, and he believed it remained powerful enough even after the transformation. Our hero called upon his soul power to ignite, and instantly, he was engulfed in a vortex of fire. Standing at the center of a magic circle, he was enveloped by the flame, connecting with the starlight directly above him. The young man was now surrounded by a smaller circle of light, while the onlookers, glowing with their own starlight, tried to comprehend the extraordinary scene. The intensity of the starlight made it clear that the body should undergo a complete transformation. As flames emerged from the X in his body, our hero welcomed them, knowing it was part of the plan. The real awakening was about to begin. Enduring the flames and releasing his emotions, the young man screamed, experiencing immense pain but pushing through it. Beijing stood amidst smoke and ashes, his body engulfed in flames. After a while, he exhaled and realized the burning had ceased. However, he soon realized that the power attracted by the 6 paths of reincarnation was not as simple as he had thought. In front of him appeared a similar phenomenon, but this time, it was dark and gloomy instead of bright and radiant. The individual observing this situation, with a faint smirk, failed to realize that it bore resemblance to the truth. Now surrounded by a swirling cloud of black and purple smoke, the person obediently extended their arms. After a moment, a third star flame materialized before them, emitting a yellow glow. Beijing had been eagerly anticipating its arrival, and now found themselves engulfed in yellow flames. Subsequently, they endured the intense pain of the 4th star flame, which burned with a blue hue. Finally, it was time for the last star flame, the 6th one, which radiated a purple light. Our hero persevered through it all, unaware of the connection between the 6 paths of reincarnation and the 6 types of star flames. Standing at the center, completely encompassed by the flames, this unprecedented and perilous awakening unfolded. Gathering their courage, the individual descended somewhere, as they believed that greater danger carried greater advantages. They found themselves within a cocoon-like structure, enshrouded by the flames of 6 stars. Our hero decided to utilize this opportunity to fortify their body, experiencing a rebirth through the ashes of nirvana. Seated within the cocoon, they entered a state of meditation, undergoing a purification and shedding of unnecessary elements. Our hero existed within a distant space, so remote that they were barely discernible. In an instant, the cocoon began to crack, eventually disintegrating entirely, revealing our hero's transformed form. No longer appearing helpless and battered, they emanated strength and confidence. With a lightning bolt forming in their palm, our hero realized their body had been restored and the poison eradicated. Reflecting on the 6 paths of reincarnation, they acknowledged its status as a legendary secret art capable of altering destiny. Placing 2 fingers on their temple and closing their eyes, Beijing confirmed the completion of their awakening. However, in that moment, a circle containing 6 unknown elements materialized behind them, startling and alarming Beijing. Our hero remained unaware of what they had awakened. Following the awakening, their physical attributes improved based on their awakened class. They possessed the physique of a warrior, the speed and agility of a thief, the inner qualities of a mage, the sharp eyesight of an archer, and the unwavering will of a fire-tempered knight. They also possessed the perceptive abilities of a summoner, attuned to all living things. Had the young man awakened all 6 classes? Was it truly due to the 6 paths of reincarnation? The individual found themselves taken aback, as they had rarely heard of someone possessing even 2 classes, let alone all 6. Nevertheless, they recognized that with a body like this, they would surely surpass their previous self. The time for their revenge was fast approaching. Our hero noticed the cracking of the starry space, indicating that the induction process was nearing its end. It was time for them to depart. Suddenly, the person who had previously expelled our hero from the mansion stood before them, unleashing a stream of insults and questioning why they had undergone the awakening, as they were merely viewed as a wasteful burden on resources. Filled with rage and hatred, forcefully propelled the man far away. Frozen in astonishment, the man watched as our hero strode past, rendering him unable to object. Gradually regaining his composure, the man, drenched in sweat, mustered the courage to question how our hero dared to address him in such a manner. Panic gripped his mind as he contemplated how, after the previous poisoning incident, our hero managed to survive. If that were the case, he resolved to take matters into his own hands and eliminate our hero. The young man unsheathed his sword, shouting in defiance and asserting that, on behalf of his parents, he would teach our hero a lesson. However, our hero intervened, commanding the airborne Fang Bing to halt, initiating a confrontation. Fang Bing, rather than engaging in combat, boasted about his skills and absolved himself of responsibility for the consequences that would follow. Meanwhile, our hero carefully analyzed every action, deducing that his adversaries genuinely intended to kill him, employing tactics commonly used by thieves to conceal their attacks. Our hero scrutinized his opponent, drawing upon the experience of the most formidable god of war. With 6 awakened classes and perceiving numerous vulnerabilities in his opponent's stance, our hero prepared to strike. Accelerating with determination, our hero delivered a forceful blow to Fang Bing's face, sending him flying a considerable distance. Spectators were astounded by how our hero effortlessly dispatched an E-rank thief with a single strike. As Fang Bing attempted to rise, he realized the futility of his attempts to reach our hero, attributing the outcome to mere luck. At that moment, our hero assumed a combat stance, recognizing that he had only recently awakened and possessed no class-specific abilities. Seizing the element of surprise, he capitalized on the moment. Frowning in frustration, knowledge that overpowering our hero would not be easy. Suddenly, another individual appeared, approaching Fang Bing directly. This person admonished the rogue for openly attempting to kill someone who had just undergone the awakening process and inquired whether he desired imprisonment. Fang Bing hastened to approach the chief of guards, seeking to convince him that our hero had made numerous unsuccessful attempts at awakening and should be dismissed for abusing his power. He accused the chief of protecting scum individuals like our hero. However, the chief remained unfazed, even finding amusement in Fang Bing's words. He scoffed at the notion of being lectured about life and pointed a finger at our hero, asserting that anyone with sight could confirm his awakening. Fang Bing, bewildered, contemplated the powerful blow he had endured, realizing it was beyond the capabilities of an ordinary person. He recognized that our hero had successfully parried the attack of a highly ranked thief, a feat unlikely to be accomplished by an average individual. Deep in thought, Fang Bing refrained from offering a response, his malevolent gaze fixated on our hero. He concluded that his own body, deteriorating due to prolonged exposure to poison, had begun to falter. In the midst of his musings, he pondered whether anyone in his lifetime possessed the ability to perform such extraordinary feats under such circumstances. Chibo presented a shining object to our hero, a special device for the awakened. It displayed our hero's name and warrior class. Holding the device, Chibo informed our hero that he had awakened as a warrior, explaining the strength of his blow. A bystander commented to his companion that Fang Bing was foolish for attacking a warrior as a thief. However, others noted that Fang Bing had also awakened, but his strength was not as impressive. Beijing, feeling concerned, understood that the revelation of the 6th class awakening would attract powerful individuals who might pose a threat. Fortunately, Chibo concealed our hero's aura with his own power. Chibo congratulated our hero again, assuring him that his parents would be proud. Chibo then presented another card, encouraging our hero to go to the Warriors Guild to learn and improve, and to discover accompanying talents to become a high-level awakened. Our hero accepted the card, expressing his determination. Later, our hero surprised Chibo by asking about the monthly talent evaluation. Chibo confirmed that it would take place that day and showed our hero the armored cars of the group traveling for the evaluation. Chibo questioned if our hero wanted to participate, emphasizing that he only had one chance. Our hero's decision puzzled Chibo, who warned of the importance of the talent evaluation and the significance of collateral talents. Chibo advised our hero to prepare well to perform during the assessment. Our hero, in a confident and positive mood, reassured Chibo and as they headed towards the armored cars, people were skeptical of our hero's eagerness to participate so soon after awakening. Some considered him arrogant. Meanwhile, Fang Bing contemplated how to eliminate our hero as a threat. Our hero observed his enemy's intentions and found it amusing that Fang Bing would soon realize his mistake when our hero obtained the accompanying talent and truly became awakened. Our hero couldn't help but find it amusing that the worthless E-rank thief, Fang Bing, would eventually realize what was happening and the consequences of underestimating our hero. The city was shrouded in the light of the Stargate, providing protection against the multitude of terrifying monsters lurking beyond its borders. These evil creatures possessed a ravenous hunger for human souls. However, they were afraid of the Stargate light and dared not approach the city, except when their thirst for souls became overwhelming, leading to catastrophic waves engulfing the city. Throughout human history, numerous cities had fallen to these monsters when the Stargate was destroyed and the starlight vanished, resulting in countless people becoming the monster's prey. Thus, the awakened individuals who resisted the catastrophic waves and defended the city found themselves in a war where they sacrificed themselves as martyrs to protect humanity. Each martyr, with an indomitable will, drew upon the light of the Stargate and attained immortality. The multitude of tombstones emitted vast amounts of starlight energy, distorting space and creating a special dimension known as the Lands of Starlight Gifts. In this dimension, every newly awakened person participated in the talent evaluation, carrying on the glory of their ancestors. They inherited the accompanying talent passed down from their predecessors. Currently, our hero was seated inside an armored car, holding a book in his hand. He realized the usefulness of the magician's insight, as he had already read through such a thick book. The area surrounding the city was predominantly inhabited by undead creatures, making them a worthwhile target for him. While the trials varied from city to city, most of the rules in the Lands of Starlight Gifts remained the same. In his past life, our hero was born into an ordinary family without any support from elders. It was a miracle that he had obtained the accompanying gold rank talent, considering that only 1 in 10,000 people achieved such a feat. Silver rank talents were obtained by 1 in 1,000 people, while brown rank talents were acquired by 1 in 100 people. Thorin of Iron rank could be obtained by 1 in 10 people, and the majority ended up with the lowest rank talent. Only 1 in 100,000 or even millions had the chance to obtain an epic rank talent. This time, our hero aimed to achieve even greater heights and potentially obtain an epic talent. According to legend, to accomplish this, one had to venture into the deepest part of the Lands of Starlight Gifts. They had already arrived at the first trial, and as they entered the gate, they could hear people expressing their hopes of obtaining the accompanying bronze-ranked skill to become wealthy. Others were confident that they would surpass everyone else. When people noticed our hero with the book, they began discussing whether he had awakened. They assumed that due to his parents' means and the numerous attempts he had made, even a pig would have awakened. Observing him reading a book in such a place, they laughed, assuming it was his way of singing after awakening. Our hero looked at them and wondered if these individuals had truly become awakened disciples and undergone 3 years of training in major guilds. He couldn't fathom why they seemed so ignorant. Most likely, the guilds only provided basic quests, reserving the truly valuable information for high-ranking awakened individuals. The fools didn't realize that when testing the Lands of Starlight Gifts, the most important attributes were not just strength but also wisdom, will, and courage. As one guy noticed a girl with long hair passing by, he exclaimed with a broad smile, questioning if she was truly Lynchie of the Lin family. It was evident that she possessed good talent and did not come from a tainted bloodline. She had awakened at the young age of 11. The group of highly intelligent individuals standing alongside our hero initiated a discussion, which seemed peculiar because the girl they were talking about had awakened as a Class 5 talent 5 years ago. They wondered why she had only now decided to participate in the talent evaluation and speculated that she might come from a wealthy family. However, they quickly realized that their assumptions were misguided, as her aura was exceptionally powerful. The Guardians of the Graves, the solemn figures representing the Land of Starlight Gifts, appeared before the crowd. Among them were Sigong, a 34-year-old member of the Archers Guild of Dawn City, known for his formidable combat ability, and Sashi, a 36-year-old senior member of the Dawn City Warriors Guild, renowned for her combat prowess. The men in front of the participants discussed the awakening of the Lin family's daughter, who had become an archer at the young age of 11. They speculated that the Archer Guild would receive a true treasure and contemplated the possibility of the Lin family aiming for a high-ranking concomitant talent. While they were confident in their abilities, they hesitated to share this information, fearing envy and potential jinxing. As the discussion continued, more people joined in, and it became apparent that an argument had erupted between two men. One of them urged the group not to waste time and suggested starting the evaluation promptly. Another man questioned whether they should reveal any information about the talent evaluation, as the participants likely already knew everything before entering the land of starlight gifts. He emphasized the importance of paying homage to the ancestors who made heroic sacrifices, enabling them to continue living in a perilous world overrun by monsters. These young awakened individuals were considered fortunate and were entrusted with continuing their ancestors' legacy, fighting for the future of humanity. The lands they entered were fraught with danger, representing their first battle to become true awakened ones. Failing to take it seriously could result in their demise. A dark-haired man earnestly informed the group that the lands would be accessible for only one day, urging them to seize this opportunity. Meanwhile, the man standing next to him expressed a wish that the talent they obtained would be influenced by luck. Suddenly, constellations began to converge on a rectangular object, instantly forming a massive black portal. The evaluation was about to commence. People started entering the portal one by one and found themselves in an unfamiliar world, leaving them somewhat bewildered. Despite the circumstances, the crowd continued to perceive our hero as foolish for reading a book instead of focusing on the evaluation. They assumed he had entered unprepared and deliberately sought his demise. One man singled out our hero, adopting a mocking tone and referring to him as the infamous scum of Beijing, suggesting that if he wanted to indulge in reading, he should do so in a secluded den. Our hero remained silent, unfazed by the interlocutor's disapproval. The interlocutor grew irritated and questioned why our hero was observing and insinuated that he might get beaten up if he didn't leave. However, our hero, unperturbed, continued flipping through the pages of the book and casually advised the overweight man to take care of himself. This remark further infuriated the man, who couldn't fathom how our hero dared to call him overweight. Suddenly, a drastic change occurred within the overweight man. A massive blue entity materialized beside him, indicating that he had entered the heroic spirit evaluation zone. Under this dome, gigantic mutated spiders began crawling towards him from all directions, causing the man to scream in fear. Onlookers tried to determine if the man was battling an F-rank monster, a ghost-faced spider, as they were not yet fully awakened and unsure of their capabilities to confront such creatures. The overweight man writhed in terror, ultimately succumbing to the spider's attack. His heroic exam had ended in failure. To emphasize the failure, our hero directed everyone's attention to the plain white talon room, where a white circle marked the young man's face. It was evident that the exam had been unsuccessful, and the accompanying talent he would receive would be of a lower rank, offering little prospect for a bright future. Meanwhile, our hero continued his journey amidst the souls, passing by an individual who had successfully completed the evaluation, receiving a bronze rank and expressing gratitude to the heroic spirits of their ancestors. This person stood within the center of a green circle, symbolizing their success in the heroic spirit test within the Starlight Roadlands. Passing the test granted them an accompanying talent of a specific rank bestowed by their ancestral spirits. However, failure resulted in a lower rank talent. Someone inquired if our hero intended to venture deeper into the lands. He glanced around but remained silent for the time being. It was then that a girl from the Lin family, directly addressing our hero, informed him that in the distant regions of these lands, one could obtain a top-ranked talent. However, the trials for the heroic spirit grade would be significantly more treacherous, even life-threatening. Therefore, she advised everyone to carefully consider before proceeding further. Our hero expressed gratitude for the warning and offered his own advice, stating that relying on external forces would not enable them to pass the heroic spirit assessment. This statement shocked the girl, who was undoubtedly frightened by the notion of external influences. In response, she mentioned that her family had prepared ranked dolls and suggested that even a genuine awakened individual would not immediately reveal them. Our hero, being an apprentice, continued onward, pondering why he had not encountered his intended destination yet. Suddenly, a blur of incredible speed whizzed past him, causing him to stumble. Bewildered and slightly fearful, our hero approached the heroic spirit once again, seeking forgiveness and explaining that he had come to receive the accompanying epic rank talent. In a fleeting thought, he wondered if the silver rank ancestor spirit had sensed the unique quality of his soul, as soul energy had a remarkable affinity for attracting their attention. As our hero recollected that the exam lasted only one day, he realized he couldn't afford to waste any more time and needed to swiftly acquire what he came for. The lands were enveloped in total darkness, with only stars twinkling as points of reference, making navigation challenging and the risk of getting lost high. Fortunately, he possessed a book containing the records of all the heroic spirits of his ancestors, which could serve as coordinates to guide him along the shortest path. The spirit's earlier advice appeared to be accurate, confirming that the book held the truth. With this newfound knowledge, our hero determined that taking a right turn would lead him to the farthest part of the Starlight Gift lands. The boys leapt with astonishing speed across the lands, followed closely by two spirits who aimed their weapons in a confrontational manner towards our hero. Abruptly, they halted, and our hero stood before them, facing two spectral beings poised for battle. Perplexed, our hero attempted to comprehend the reason behind their conflict. Then, a realization struck him: he had underestimated the allure his soul held for the spirits of his ancestors. With a friendly smile, our hero waved his hand and apologized, acknowledging his purpose of seeking an epic rank talent. The spirits momentarily shifted their attention from their quarrel to our hero. Suddenly, a colossal armored spirit armed with multiple weapons materialized before him, while on the other side stood a spirit and a witch clutching a book. Along his journey, our hero encountered numerous individuals and spirits, increasing his chances of attaining the coveted accompanying talent rank. As he walked past a thicket, our hero sensed rustling and turned concealed behind a tree. In an exasperated tone, he called them an idiot and reminded them of his earlier warning about an ongoing gunfight beneath the Golden Dome. To his surprise, it was the same girl who had offered advice to our hero. Confused and unaware of the situation, the girl found herself bombarded by an infinite barrage of arrows from the enraged ancestor of the Lin family. Bewildered, she couldn't fathom why her ancestor sought to harm her. The arrows, imbued with fiery energy, struck the ground with tremendous force, giving rise to grotesque black creatures that transformed into massive E-ranked skeleton hounds. The girl struggled to comprehend how the arrows had morphed into these monstrous entities. Realizing that this exceeded the bounds of a heroic spirit examination, she concluded that her ancestor intended to kill her. In desperation, the girl drew her own arrows and confronted the enraged ancestral spirit, identifying herself as his descendant and pleading for an explanation. However, the ancestor remained resolute, drawing his arrows and uttering the word, "unworthy," repeatedly. The girl, taken aback, found herself paralyzed and unable to retaliate as the skeleton hounds closed in. In a crucial moment, a doll crafted by her family rushed to her aid, triggering a powerful explosion that engulfed the area. Amidst the ensuing dust and ashes, the girl, tearful and bewildered, reflected on her grandfather's belief that she possessed exceptional abilities and was the hope for their family's revival. Devastated by the carnage around her, she struggled to understand the reasons behind her ancestors' anger and repeated accusations of unworthiness. The ancestral spirit reappeared before her, reiterating her unworthiness and demanding she leave. However, the girl refused to back down, determined to uncover her perceived transgressions. With tears in her eyes, she implored the heroic ancestor spirit to enlighten her. Observing this exchange, our hero turned to the Lin family girl and inquired if she still failed to comprehend her missteps. Perplexed by his presence, the girl remained unaware of his purpose there. In that moment, the ancestral spirit shifted his attention to our hero and, alongside the tearful girl, unleashed a torrent of words. He recounted how she had tirelessly trained and honed her awakened abilities since the age of 11, dedicating herself to rigorous practice and enduring arduous trials before arriving at this moment, the culmination of her awakened discipleship. She had dedicated immense effort to her personal growth, hoping to earn recognition from the heroic ancestor spirit. Her brow furrowed, and her eyes conveyed determination as she expressed her achievements. At her young age, she stood out as a prodigious talent in the Lin family, specifically excelling as a disciple archer with exceptional potential. She had worked tirelessly to reach this point. The girl's fiery spirit ignited within her, and she tightly gripped her arrow, stating that even if she faced the ancestor spirit in a life-or-death encounter, she would release the arrow without hesitation. With a smile on her face, she remained oblivious to the possible resonance between her and the heroic spirit. Our hero, wearing a knowing smile, remarked that it seemed likely, as this examination focused not only on strength but also on the will and courage to face challenges. Turning his gaze towards the girl, He commented on her bringing 2 dolls with her, acknowledging that it wasn't cheating but rather a cowardly act. In that moment, the girl comprehended what her ancestor had meant. Her eyes widened as she attempted to understand the identity of the man before her, our hero. Such a remarkable individual couldn't be unknown in the City of Dawn. The golden dome began to dissipate, signaling the completion of the girl's examination. Everything around them started to fade away, and the girl emitted a bright golden light as she found herself at the center of a radiant fire. A symbol illuminated on her forehead, indicating that she had acquired the accompanying talent of her ancestor. Our hero witnessed the moment the girl received her talent and couldn't help but think that it was a favorable outcome. She had obtained a gold-ranked collateral talent, suggesting a promising future. As quickly as it had appeared, everything vanished, and the girl approached our hero. She turned to the person with the open book and expressed her gratitude for the advice to leave promptly, now that she had received a talent. The person warned her that heroic ancestor spirits do not cause harm, but over time, they can transform into malevolent and cruel spirits. Encountering one would lead to a perilous situation. The girl smiled and accepted the advice, then curiously asked our hero about his purpose in the area. He replied that he had come seeking the finest accompanying talent. The girl playfully waved her hands and questioned whether he, too, aimed to acquire a gold-ranked talent. She remarked that his aura seemed weaker compared to other awakened disciples. Our hero turned around, contemplating the situation and deciding to inquire, asking her to keep his presence a secret and avoid revealing it to anyone else. He pondered why he always behaved arrogantly. In an instant, the girl became terrified and astonished. After all, they were in the gold-ranked zone. She wondered where our hero would venture next and presumed he was heading towards the deepest part of the Starlight Gifts. Some time later, our hero found himself in the deepest reaches of the Starlight Gifts, known as the Projection of Hell. Spotting the gate, he smirked, realizing he was on the right path. Instantly, he felt a formidable pressure, acknowledging that even if the monster's combat ability was that of a guardian, it surpassed the level of an advanced D rank. Beijing, filled with both excitement and sweat, recognized the immense disparity in spiritual energy, making it clear that the monster's attack, coupled with its overpowering pressure, posed a significant challenge. Our hero's body struggled to withstand the force. He understood that each rank possessed a specific number of points, with D rank having the highest tally of over 900. Our hero, an awakened disciple with a spiritual energy level of 30, recognized that his physical strength was crucial even in a non-combat situation. If his body couldn't endure the upcoming challenge, his wisdom and courage would be rendered useless. Beijing raised his hands, creating a small vortex around him, realizing that the concentration of spiritual energy in this place was dozens of times higher than the outside world. It was the perfect environment for his development. Since the evaluation had been underway for a few hours, he still had time to grow stronger. In a trance, our hero tapped into a secret art from his past life called Infinite Gonkai, an epic rank technique he accidentally obtained. A ball of light blue energy formed in his palms, surrounded by a circle reminiscent of the one that aided his reincarnation. Emitting a soft blue glow, he absorbed energy at a faster rate due to having obtained all 6 classes and increased his absorption speed as a buff. Sitting in the lotus posture, a massive circle formed behind him. Our hero marveled at the dense concentration of spiritual energy, allowing him to absorb it at a rate that would take others years to achieve in just one day. The absorbed energy manifested as a blue light, indicating the amount of spiritual energy he had accumulated. Exhaling with satisfaction after absorbing the 99th point of spiritual energy, our hero realized that it was the maximum level for a disciple before acquiring the accompanying skill. Unable to become a true awakened without obtaining the accompanying skill, he couldn't absorb any more spiritual energy. Nonetheless, with 99 points of spiritual energy and 6 times the strength, he believed it would be sufficient. Despite being close to the Hell Gate, his progress was hindered by a D-ranked monster, a fierce hellhound. The hellhound's fiery bones and menacing appearance instilled fear, but our hero remained calm. He understood that, at this moment, the suppression of spiritual energy was ineffective against him. In a split second, Beijing launched an attack against his opponent, empowered by his newfound spiritual power. The hellhound, caught off guard by the young man's unexpected strength, recoiled but grew even angrier. Despite being airborne or in mid-jump, our hero delivered blow after blow, albeit with little effect on the beast's sturdy frame. Nevertheless, these actions further infuriated the animal, which began growling and calling for something. Our hero paused on the ground after his assault, provoking the hellhound's wrath. The monster, driven by its hunger for our hero's soul, lunged at him with incredible speed, claws poised to strike. Beijing stood motionless, merely observing. As the hellhound closed in, our hero extended his arms, seemingly surrendering to the beast about to devour him. In an instant, he impaled the monster's face with his fingers, prompting the animal to recoil with apprehension. Our hero locked eyes with the hound, asserting that they were on Earth for the evaluation of awakened disciples and that the organizers couldn't have obtained a real D-ranked hellhound for the assessment. With a swift wave of his two fingers, the hellhound disintegrated into numerous crystals of varying sizes. As the creature's remnants scattered, our hero descended, contemplating his own strength as an apprentice and wondering how much stronger he could become. He was then distracted by the realization that wisdom and courage were the keys to success in these lands. Standing before the stairs that led directly to the Hell Gates, he reflected on the fact that his provocation had been merely a test, as true hellhounds were immortal beings devoid of emotions, including rage. It was a projection designed to gauge a candidate's fighting skills and courage. Undeterred, our hero ascended the grand staircase, venturing into the darkness with a slight smile, contemplating the true nature of the so-called Hell Gate. He even found himself slightly excited. Bravely and confidently, Beijing walked into the unknown, as the gate gradually closed behind him, signaling the absence of a way back. On a wide stone road illuminated by towering stone torches emitting brilliant blue flames, our hero paused at a captivating waterfall, pondering its peculiar beauty. He couldn't comprehend why this farthest corner of the land didn't resemble hell but rather resembled a valley of sacrifices. He also questioned the existence of the epic rank, only to be startled moments later when he sensed a fiery presence flying over him. Swiftly evading the danger with his agility, he wondered if this aura belonged to an S-ranked entity. Something incredibly powerful soared above his head, reminding him of the potential danger and the possibility of death in such encounters. Confused, our hero stood there, staring intently. Suddenly, a pillar of light struck the ground in front of him, revealing a man, a heroic spirit of epic rank. The spirit, engulfed in flames, approached our hero and demanded that he cease his actions. Undeterred, our hero maintained a slight smirk and assured the spirit that he hadn't arrived there by luck or mere curiosity about the power of an epic rank. The spirit, still angry and incredulous, questioned how a mere student could dare to venture to that realm. After a moment, the spirit asked if our hero had a death wish and wanted to witness the might of an epic rank spirit. Calmly, our hero acknowledged the spirit's past life and proposed a test of strength, dismissing the notion of negotiation. The spirit acknowledged the hero's eloquence but contended that he couldn't possibly compete even with an apprentice. The spirit, still conversing, criticized our hero's naivety, asserting that he would demonstrate the true power of a heroic spirit of epic rank. In an instant, the spirit's sword ignited with fire, and a fiery whirlwind enveloped our hero. Amidst the confusion, our hero found himself in an arena, struggling to comprehend the situation. Raising his hands, he pondered if his spiritual energy had reached a rank of 400. The spirit loomed over him, having transported him to the arena, reflecting on our hero's previous arrogance and eager to witness his words in the midst of battle. Meanwhile, other spirits above them engaged in a discussion, remarking that Li Wei had waited for a distraction to ambush our hero, mocking his perceived insignificance. One of the spirits formed something in his hand, remarking on the rarity of a junior entering their realm and noting the weight of the epic rank on a student. However, they acknowledged our hero's extraordinary talent and unique physique, as if belonging to all classes simultaneously. Unbeknownst to our hero, Li Wei, the orchestrator of these events, had disregarded the rules, preventing the other spirits from intervening. Our hero, still trying to make sense of the situation, came to the realization that the power of the epic rank had transported him to the dream world arena, an astonishing revelation. In an instant, he threw his sword aside, facing a spirit who goaded him to attack first, emphasizing their equal rank within the dream world arena. Our hero smiled confidently, questioning the spirit's reliance on weapons and asking if his experience as an S-ranked war god would be enough to defeat him. As our hero unleashed a flurry of techniques, the spirit struggled to comprehend the young man's unparalleled swordsmanship. While our hero attacked relentlessly, he reasoned that even with a weapon, it would be challenging to withstand such a merciless assault. Within seconds, our hero launched another attack at his bewildered opponent, who appeared to be at a loss. Realizing that evasion was futile, the spirit grew even angrier. Our hero stood tall, a proud expression on his face, as he positioned the tip of his sword against the shoulder of the epic rank spirit. The spirit, in turn, struggled to comprehend how this was possible. It was beyond his understanding how our hero's displayed skills could surpass his own. The spirit, with such a powerful aura, was prepared to engage in a battle with the god of war, reaching at least an SS rank. The spirit had never encountered a man like our hero before, who was considered a true genius in the spirit's perspective. Observing his opponent, our hero reassured him not to worry, as he was already assuming a fighting stance, despite his elevated soul that remained unseen. Our hero requested his opponent to give his best in the upcoming battle. In response, the spirit also took a fighting stance and contemplated the best approach for an instant attack. Summoning his initially discarded sword, our hero witnessed his opponent drawing his own sword and charging at him with full force, urging him not to hesitate. The confrontation between the two became increasingly intense. While the young man displayed a serious demeanor, he also exuded confidence in his strength and abilities. In a moment of skill and precision, our hero managed to slightly overpower his opponent, successfully disarming the spirit. The young man was satisfied that it only took him 10 strikes to achieve this outcome. Subsequently, our hero declared his victory to his opponent, stating that there was no point in continuing the fight. The spirit, now visibly less angry, reluctantly acknowledged his defeat, agreeing with our hero's statement. Our hero felt a sense of accomplishment, believing that he had passed the test flawlessly, anticipating the reward of an accompanying epic rank talent. He recognized that this achievement would significantly elevate his starting point in life compared to his past experiences. However, before he could fully contemplate this notion, the epic ranked spirit dissolved abruptly, as if vanishing through the ground. This unexpected turn of events caused our hero to become tense, questioning if he had overexerted himself to the extent that the spirit disappeared. Yet, the epic spirit was not capable of such an action. At that moment, the souls continued to circle above our hero and his rival. When the spirit returned to its body, its companions expressed confusion regarding the swift completion of the trial. They speculated that since our hero did not receive the talent, he must have lost. Nevertheless, they were unable to comprehend why our hero had not regained consciousness. Meanwhile, our hero remained in the dream world's arena, while the epic ranked spirit failed to complete the trial. The spirit rose majestically, announcing its defeat, leaving the souls bewildered. They were unable to fathom how this could be possible, even entertaining the idea that the spirit was joking. As both participants held an epic rank, it seemed implausible. Some spirits even suspected that the epic spirit intentionally surrendered. However, the spirit denied any notion of giving up, asserting that it was genuinely defeated, and our hero's skills were on par with theirs. The spirit had a plan, sensing that something was amiss with the mountains. The other spirits were perplexed, unable to comprehend their partner's intentions. Despite their objections, the spirit stood firmly and suggested they attempt something. The spirits tried to communicate that relying solely on their companion's words was insufficient to convince them of a solution. At that moment, something radiant materialized before our hero, triggering another idea in his former adversary's mind, making the plan even more unconventional. As our hero observed the unfolding events, he began to perspire with anticipation, awaiting something dreadful.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content. Feel free to leave a comment down below sharing your thoughts or suggestions. If you want to stay updated on all our latest uploads, click the notification bell icon. And hey, why not check out some of our other videos popping up on the screen right now? If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by liking, sharing, and subscribing. It really means a lot. Peace.